Everyone. So as Mark said, I'll be talking about the new taxon file that we keep and maintain at the Diatom Herbarium, the Academy of Natural Sciences. So for those of you that were at NADS recently, this is very similar, if not pretty much the same presentation. So hopefully you'll get a good refresher. If not, and you haven't seen it before, hopefully enjoy. So I'm just going to start talking some history of the Academy of Natural Sciences Diatom Herbarium. For those of you who may not know much about it or are newer to the science, this might be fun and interesting to listen about. So we are one of two of largest in the world. The other largest one is in London. And it started in the 1850s as a group of people that would meet for the Microscopical Society of Philadelphia Club. It was a hobby for much of these people, and some of the original members were Charles S. Boyer, Christian Feibker, Frank Keeley, and John A. Schultz. We don't actually have a picture of John Schultz. Those are just images from his collection. He's most notorious for his arranged slides that have a single diatom in the center of them. And what happened was in about 1935, Dr. Ruth Patrick joined the Academy of Natural Sciences and tried to work her way into the Diatom Herbarium and the Microscopical Society Club. And she eventually saw the importance of organizing all of these individual collections that these people had into the combined collection that we know today as the Diatom Herbarium. And she would organize it and maintain it. And then in 1952, she hired Dr. Charlie Reimer, primarily because he was fluent in German, to help work with diatom taxonomy. He quickly became a very proficient taxonomist and an expert in the field, and in 1960 he took over the care and maintenance of the Diatom Herbarium. Just some little bit of information. Our oldest fossil slide is from the Cretaceous period, and our oldest modern slide is from the early 1800s. During Dr. Charlie Reimer's time as the curator, when he was working on the Diatoms in the United States book with Dr. Ruth Patrick, he was able to acquire a lot of special collections. We have a list of them right here. You can look through real quick. So we have slides from all over the world. We have anywhere from 250 to 300,000 slides, along with most of them have associated material. So it's a great resource for anyone who is working with diatom taxonomy or any diatom projects such as ecology that need slides and materials to compare sample sets to. So the actual Diatom new taxon file that was also started around 1950 by Dr. Ruth Patrick. She had the idea to create a resource for people working on diatom taxonomy where they don't have to thumb through hundreds of books to see everything, where they can have everything nice and neatly sorted into one file holder. And actually on the previous slide, just go back to it, on the picture right of the Diatom Herbarium, those file card cabinets with the plastic microscope slides on top of it is the original new taxon file, is where it's kept. So what she did is she wanted to start anything after the Mills Index. So anything after 1932, she created these index cards. So they would make physical index cards that had the taxonomic information, such as the name, the citation, the holotype, and they would also add an image. That still separates us from other taxa lists is that we have the image and the full description on the cards. Charlie Reimer took over maintaining it, and he, along with his staff of Margaret Henderson and Sue Gill, they worked on it many years and created the cards. Charlie Reimer would also make notes on it, such as the validity and legitimacy of the taxa names, and it was partially used to compile the Academy catalog. So if we move towards the modern era, so some of the more recent works of the Diatom New Taxon file is starting in 2003. It's maintained and funded by the Frank and Patrick Fund, and as part of the endowment, we have to undergo an external review every 5 years. Our most recent one was in 2024, and what they do is we get about 3 to 4 experts in the field to look over the new taxon file, what we've done with it, what we've worked on, and they will make suggestions on improvements moving forward, and also check that we are maintaining it to the standards that Ruth Patrick's would have wanted us to maintain it at. After the 2013 review, it was decided that it should be moved digitally to make it more accessible to everyone in the world. And the efforts for that were led by Jana Vesla, the collection manager at the time, and Chelsea Smith, who was a curatorial assistant. And they worked with great efforts to start digitizing it, scanning all of the physical copies of the cards and making PDFs and images that can be uploaded to a website. They also created a FileMaker database that maintains the cards, adds number, and helps us keep everything organized that can also be used to maintain the website. So in 2016, they made the first website. It was publicly available. The majority of the cards were scanned and uploaded onto the website. And then in 2020, we decided to move card production virtually. So we currently use PowerPoint to make the cards and no longer make physical copies of the cards. And then in 2024, due to some changes with Drexel's IT department security, we had to create another website that was made by our current database manager, Robbie Noonan. And it's currently publicly available. So to give some idea what the content, which you'll find in a card, you're going to have the diatom name, the genus, species, or intraspecific taxa name. You'll have the authority, the year. If there's any written comments by Charlie, you'll find those on the card just kind of all over the place. The indication of novelty, what it is, if it's a new species, new combination, etc. The citation. And one thing I want to point out is the citation, the numbers for the pages and images are going to go directly with the taxon name and not for the whole article that it was published in. If the basionym is applicable, you'll find that on the card, the type locality information, the description in full form, and also images. We do try to keep in mind copyright rules and everything, and so we will put the whole type image for sure, and depending on the source of it, we might add more images. If not, it might just have a holotype image. Also, you'll find the etymology on there. So here's an example of a virtual card that we have. So you can see the citation on this one. Again, page number and figures are directly correlated to that taxa name. There's the type information, and we do not put description on the card unless it's clearly written in the paper that that's the description. So for instance, in this paper, they had light microscope observations and scanning electron microscope observations. So we put that on there, assuming that's probably what they intended to be the description. The etymology is on the front side of the card. And in keeping with the historical, having a index card with a front and back, we will make 2 PowerPoint slides for each card if we need the room for it. So the images for this taxa on the back. Here's what a new combination will look like. The basionym goes before the citation in the layout of the card. And sometimes we put images on it if we see fit. Here's the list of journals we regularly check for the new taxon file. So how the workflows goes is at the end of each year. So for instance, at the end of 2024, I will look over all of these journals and gather articles, set them aside in folders that are organized. And then we have co-ops and volunteers that help to make the cards. And then we edit them and upload them to FileMaker, and then they end up on the website. The whole process takes quite a while, so do keep in mind that it can take us up to a year and a half to get a full annual year of new taxa names up on the website. As most of you probably know, diatom taxa names are being published exponentially. But there's the list there. We also are subscribed to Williams. I think it's an email list that any paper that is associated with diatoms, we get an alert that is published. So if it's not published in any of these journals, we do try to keep track of it that way. That being said, if you happen to know of any taxa names that were not published in these journals or showed up on Williams' email list, or if you go online and it's a year or so after the publication and you don't see the new taxa name on there, please send me an email. At the end of this presentation, I have access to a Microsoft form where you can put that information in to let me know that there are taxa names that still need to be added. So we'll do a quick website demo of the new website. Here we go. So this is the new website and how it looks. It looks really similar. I have the old one up here just for comparison. And here's the landing page. It has some information on it. The contact for Marina Potapova. She's the current curator, and then myself, the collection manager, how to cite the website. And if you scroll down, you'll see a list of contributors. There's a lot of people who've worked at this throughout the years. We need to update the external review committee. The last one in 2024 was Mark Edlin, Kalina Manoloff, and Sarah Spalding. Right here is really nice. There's taxonomic hints. So if you're ever trying to describe a new taxa, or if you want to know best practices for nomenclature, there's a wonderful presentation you can look up there that will give you a lot of helpful information. We also have a list of the details of the card. So when you're looking through this, if you ever need to reference that, it is available for your use. So there's two ways to search for taxa on here. You can either search the collection by using the search bar, and you have the option of genus or species. If you're searching for a genus, and for instance, we'll do this one here. It's a new one. So if it's a new genus, we do make cards for the new genus and not just the species as well. So you can see at the very top, there's just the card for the whole genus. And then down here, you'll find the species that belong to that one. We are in the process of updating this website still, and it is still a little bit under work. So sometimes we'll have cards that are not appearing on here. If you check the old's website, they'll probably be present there. And we will keep the old website up and running until we have the new one in perfect shape. If you want to search for a species, let's just do this one. Search there, and it has a drop-down menu. You can click it, and anything has that species name in it, whether it be part of the species name, or if also is a variety in a different genre, it'll appear on the list here. Yeah, so here's an example of cards that we are still trying to figure out that appear on the old website that's not appearing here yet. So just bear with us as we continue to work through the problems here. And then we do not have a way currently to type in the genera and the species name, so we are also working on updating that. Presentation. So there's a lot of other resources at the Diatom Herbarium as well. I just want to point out and send reminders for everyone so you can reach out to us. We're always here for us to come visit. Please come visit us, see all the wonderful things that we have. We have an extensive collection of historical and modern diatom literature. So if you're ever needing it and can't find it, or especially with the historical stuff, if the scans are not adequate or high quality online, please reach out. I can definitely send a good high quality image over, especially from the historical stuff, and whatever I can while maintaining and being respectful of copyright rules, work with the modern literature as well. We do have over 260,000 slides. We just recently acquired all of Dr. Jan Stevenson's material and slides that he worked on because he recently retired. So that is a ton of new stuff and a lot of EPA surveys that I have to add to the collection. So we are quite a bit larger than we were before June when he dropped them off. We have over 5,000 type slides, and then we're currently working on moving our database to Symbiota, where it'll be publicly available and everyone can search through. So that way it'll be very accessible to find out what we have. If there's slides or material we're looking for, you'll be able to find it through the Symbiota portal. So I just want to thank everyone who's worked on the Diatom new taxon file over the years, especially Ruth Patrick, Charlie Reimer and his assistants, Dr. Marina Potapova, Robbie Noonan, who's helped with creating the database and the new website, the 2024 review committee. And there's so many co-ops and volunteers and employees that have worked over this, I could not make the list fit on a PowerPoint slide. So if you want to click or scan that link there, it takes you to a Microsoft form where you can input if there's any questions, information, any errors you see on the website. Please point those out to me as we're still working on perfecting the new website. And you can also put if there's any missing taxa, you can put a link to the journal article would be quite nice. So with that, I will move to questions. See if anyone has any comments too.
Thank you very much, Laura. If you have a question for Laura, feel free to raise your hand, type it in the chat, although I would much rather you ask it than me interpret it.
And you can just raise, or you can just use the little raise hand button if you want, and we'll get you called up. Or there's not that many of us, so feel free just to unmute yourself and ask questions if you'd like. One thing I noticed, Laura, that you showed that it was it looked like especially the new cards, and I don't know, maybe the old ones too, are linked to the diatom base. Is that the only primary other databasing collection that you guys are linked to with this, or is there any dreams of other links?
Currently, we are only linked to Diatom base. We do that through the APID, but ideally we would want to link it to our Symbiota portal once that's ready, and any other. So if any of you who are listening are in charge of any of those other lists, please reach out to me on ways we can link them and update that. And we're always open to suggestions for improvement or ways that can make it easier for use.
Is there other than hunting through the literature, are there other mechanisms that could be played to come up with any new species out there? I'm thinking primarily of linking or looking at algae base, which also seems to, pretty regularly pop up new stuff. And then this other is this FICO Bank registration program. And I know that the latter isn't really well used yet, but I think encouraged, if nothing else. But is there any mechanism that to to basically, can you say, hey, Mike Gowrie, can you give me a list of all the diatom tax that have been entered in the last year so we can double check? Or I don't know. I'm just curious.
That would be a wonderful idea. We've thought about reaching out to Algae Base. I do know that they tend to update stuff by the I guess by the end of the year they usually have everything up and loaded. But at the same time we're gathering stuff, I think they're also in the process for doing that. So I don't know how much of a delay that would add onto us adding new cards. But we're open to easier ways to do stuff. So I probably will consider reaching out to Algae Base about seeing if they can send me a list of anything they add for 2024.
I would think Mike would be able to do something like that and be happy to do it. I know it's going to gravitate over to PSA, but be cool if they could do that.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to let Laura know that I'm actually going to be in Philadelphia. I'm heading out tomorrow to visit friends. I go there all the time to visit my friends, and I have yet to go visit the Diatom herbarium. So it's on my list during this trip.
Oh, please do show up. Just send me an email. I will be in the office tomorrow, and I'm more than happy to give you a tour. Show you around.
It would probably be Friday, either Thursday, Friday. Yeah, because I fly in tomorrow, so probably not tomorrow, but either Thursday or Friday. I don't know if you'll be around, but I will email you.
Marina Potapova probably will be, so she can get you in as well.
Cool. Yeah.
And well worth the trip, Phoebe.
Yeah.
Miriam, do you have a question you'd like to ask? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I noticed that, so you mentioned that you have co-op students and volunteers. Do you happen to have any like workshops or educational programs for people who are getting into this for the first time?
We do not currently. Unfortunately, funding is not something that we have in excess of. So having those would have to probably find external funding sources. But I think that workshops would be wonderful ideas, and that's something that in the future we definitely will be thinking of.
Do you ever find it difficult to, because I'm just thinking for myself, like when I start to, train people to look at diatoms under the microscope and see how it's done. Do you ever find it difficult to have these people be adjusted, or does it end up being an easy process?
Surprisingly, no, because when you're making the cards, you do well. Learning nomenclatural rules is actually it's quite difficult, but somehow we're able to work with the co-ops. And I have a volunteer who doesn't really have any science background, but she has picked it up quite easily. So I think just walking them through it has worked really well. And then a lot of our co-ops do have some taxonomic background and at least some science backgrounds that helps quite a bit. And we do try to be a little opportunistic in which co-ops we use to help make the cards. Those that are choosing to go into a taxonomic based field or already have prior work with other collections tend to pick it up really easily. So we get lucky in that sense that we have Drexel's Bees department, which is biodiversity, environmental, and ecological sciences. So we have a lot of students that this is kind of what they enjoy doing. So that helps out a lot.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Very cool. Tom, did you have a question?
Yeah, sure. Laura, I just wanted to know, does the new Diatom file have links to photomicrographs of the types which are held at ANSP?
That is a wonderful question. Not currently, but that is something that when we're currently working with Symbiota, so that is a work in progress, but that's something that we are going to try to do is at least if not link on the DNTF website, we will link to the Symbiota portal. You'll see an option that'll show if there's a card available for that and then a picture available. So you can cross-reference them. I guess we're still working through all of that. There's a lot of
So,
IT
so,
and
so what is Symbiota? I'm not familiar with it.
so Symbiota is it's a commercial portal for collections. So they have a resource for collections to use as an online database that makes everything publicly available. So if you have a collection, you have to pay money. I think there's stuff like Specify, but basically there's online resources to put your collection data into that organizes it and makes it publicly available to accessible. So we have to use commercial platforms. That's just one of the options. And that's the one we decided to go with. There's others such as Specify, Emu. Can't remember any others off the top of my head.
But is that something that we can access, or is that just for museum curators?
No, it'll be completely accessible to the public once we get it set up. So basically, it's going to be a platform that you can go to, and let's say you want to search for all the material and slides we have from a specific locality, you'll be able to do so, and it'll produce results and give you that list that then you can reach out if you want loans or if you want to see images of certain things. You can also look through type slides, a lot of other resources we have. You'll be able to search to see what's available and what we have online. It's going to take some time, unfortunately, to get it up and running as we have to clean our current data. And it just, all of that process takes a lot longer than anticipated. So hopefully within the next year or two, we'll have everything up and running smoothly.
Okay, thank you. Great. Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, nice seeing you as well, Tom.
Right. Are any other final questions for Laura? All right. Well, just if you think of any, we'll just raise your hand one more time. But let me just remind everyone that on November 19th, our next Diatom Web Academy is going to be held by Sarah Spalding, and going to be looking at the diatoms.org website and where do we go from here. Some next steps that we're starting to think about in terms of that other resource that we all love to go visit. And then on December 10th, Vivi Mazzi is going to speak on, from USGS in Florida, is going to speak on all kinds of projects all over the Diatom projects all over the US. So, all right. Well, if there are no further questions, we're going to give everyone a half an hour back of your lives, if that's okay. And I want to make sure to say thank you to Laura for her presentation today and for really the amazing work that goes on at the Philadelphia Academy. Vivi, go there. You got to go visit the place. It's like stepping into heaven for Diatom people.
Yeah, I'm definitely going on this trip. I don't know how I've managed to like not go before because I've been to Philly like a bunch of times, but yeah, it's definitely happening this trip.
Good. Your trips to Philly will never be the same. It'll always be centered around the Academy. It's such a great resource.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and thank you especially, Laura, for your presentation. We'll get that the recording of this up on the DONA website and on our Facebook page within the next couple weeks, usually. And feel free to check that out and check out any other past Diatom Web Academy presentations we've had. With that, great to see everyone. Thank you so much. Hope everyone's having a wonderful fall, and we'll see everyone in just a couple weeks with Sarah's talk. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.